Okay, I don't actually have much beef with this guy, but to call him Leo from the esteemed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I don't know.
Okay, what kind of a person is Rise Leo? Most of his traits are actually present in episode 1 if you watch closely, and it doesn't change much in subsequent episodes. In the fight with the dogs, Mikey seems to be cooperative with Raph, while Leo and Donnie do their own thing. This shows that Leo is more independent and less of a team player. Not a big deal on the surface. Leo as a character can sometimes have an independent streak, but in this fight, Raph is the one barking orders since he's supposed to be leader, while Leo shows a clear lack of initiative to take charge and goes off to do his own thing instead. His own thing being getting absolutely wiped out in a fight? Okay, so he's a showboat who doesn't exactly have the skills to back himself up. This gives the character room to grow, I guess, but we're not exactly putting our best foot forward here. Mikey is the one to ask if they should just ask Splinter for the thing from his Do Not Touch cabinet. Leo is the one who immediately suggests deception. Leo does not have much faith in his father and is not above deceit. This is a far cry from the Leo who traditionally has always heeded Splinter and values honor. Funnily enough, as shown in later episodes, Leo does take after the Splinter in many ways, so Leo taking after Splinter is one thing that didn't change, I guess. Leo counts on Splinter passing out after milk and cake and grabs what they need immediately without consulting or telling the others. He sees Splinter as predictable and is quick to take advantage of it. He doesn't see the need to inform people of his plans and is not one for communication. Like, does he think he's too good for it or something? Leo point blank says Raph chokes under pressure. He sees Raph as predictable and is insensitive enough to mention it out loud, even though Donnie points out that Raph gets self-conscious. So, he's a jerk.
Alright guys, time to put our training to use.
What training? You guys have been training?
This indicates that he has not been training. Great, he's a lazy slob. That's okay, maybe I'm not actually supposed to like this character. And you know what? He actually has one redeeming quality. Leo brings back up the dog to get everyone back on track. He's the one to remind everyone of their mission. In a similar fashion, Leo reminds Raph that they should stop Draxum from creating crabmen, while Raph is focused on the dog. Leo sees the big picture, which is probably a good trait to have in a leader. So, what I get from this analysis is that Rise Leo is shown to be manipulative, rude, snarky, and lazy. He does have incidents where he's shown to have potential to be a leader, but it's very quick and not very emphasized. Leo, as I'm used to seeing, is disciplined, takes charge, assertive, and is quick to take responsibility. But with Rise, all of these traits seem to have disappeared. From episode 1, we're shown that this is not the Leo we're used to. Now, why is this the case? So, turns out, a major change of Rise is actually making the turtles distinctly separate ages instead of having them all be 15. Previous iterations may have had them have slight age differences, with oldest to youngest being Leo, Raph, Donnie, and Mikey, at least in 2012, but they were all meant to be 15, the same age. Rise changed this by having them be 1 year apart and changing the birth order. Now Raph is the oldest at 15, Leo and Donnie are 14, and Mikey is 13. Leo is younger than Raph. I'm not mad at the change itself, but I disagree with the execution. With Leo's fundamental shift in character, it feels like what Rise is trying to tell me is that his entire personality was being the oldest, which is just not true. Maybe feeling responsible for the others did partially come from him being the oldest, I'm not denying that, but to say it's the sole reason just doesn't feel right to me. They also have Leo not be the leader, which is a change I'm also not inherently mad at, but again, I disagree with the execution. Leo is so irresponsible in this version that I'm actually kind of glad he's not the leader. Plus, with how lazy he is, it's not surprising that he's not leader. He's never really felt like the leader type. Actually, do the Rise Turtles even need a leader? They all do their own thing half the time, and yeah, Raph is trying to be the leader, but he's not doing the best job. Why not just have the group be leaderless? Why does this have to be an issue at all? But apparently, the plan was to have Leo be the leader all along, if the Rise movie had anything to say about it. And to that I say they should have foreshadowed it better. Leo does show traits of being a leader, especially in early episodes, but it's too few and far in between to leave much of an impact on the audience.
As Leonardo is cunning. He is very intelligent and intuitive if you pay attention. He is always sensing danger 10 steps ahead, as with Big Mama, and immediately not trusting her. In early episodes, he's hyping up the team. He's whispering plans into Raphael's ear, almost like a proxy leader in a way.
I actually don't really disagree with this video, and think that Leo being set up as leader from the start could have worked. The problem is that Leo isn't particularly more intelligent than the others. He didn't trust Big Mama, but Big Mama was so obviously suspicious it felt like the other turtles had to be dumbed down for it to work. Leo has also had plenty of stupid moments. Remember when he trusted that Jupiter gym actor? You know, the guy who literally turned his own fans into human statues? And Raph was the only one who was skeptical? But I can't even say Raph is smarter because he doesn't seem to get that Ghost Bear has it out for him. Despite Ghost Bear's numerous attempts to fight and or kill him, or at the very least make his life miserable every time they meet. Leo also once trusted a rando who came out of literally nowhere to give him a hair implant, and surprise, surprise, it turns out he was just using him. There are a few moments where Leo's cleverness is on display, but his stupid moments come to mind far more frequently and easily. Like that time he insisted on eating literal poison.
You what?
And neglected to tell Raph he had extra to base the antidote off of.
What? You have more of those?
No, that was the last one.
This happens multiple times, by the way, like that was the joke. Raph was freaking out, running around, looking for a way to make the antidote, and Leo had something that would have helped the entire time and just never told Raph because he wanted to keep eating the poison. Rise Leo is the definition of selfish and irresponsible, which are not traits I would want in a leader. Like, I see what this person is saying, but this quality feels too inconsistent to truly stick in my mind. Rise needed to make him being smarter and more discerning, more consistent, and more at the forefront of his character. They also might want to address his lack of initiative and laziness while they're at it. Even if maybe he sometimes does show traits of being a good leader, his worst traits far overshadow what few good traits he has.
Why are you the way that you are?
Rise Leo doesn't have a clear arc of being a better leader, or even a better person, and is not allowed to step into his own until way too late when the series is over. The Rise movie was a fine idea, but it should have happened in the actual series. In universe, the Rise movie takes place 2 years after the Rise series. Leo is 16 when he finally starts to grow and be a better leader. It takes him 2 years to finally start being a better person and somewhat competent leader. I'm sorry, 2003 Leo was on the top of his game from the very start. 2012 Leo had things he needed to learn, but for the most part, he was there. And they were both 15 at the start of their series, with not even half of the field experience Rise Leo supposedly had by the time the movie started. 2012 Leo literally grows to be head of the clan in less than a year. Meanwhile, Rise Leo is still ditching training to stack pizza boxes on the top of his head.
We're supposed to be training.
Hold that thought.
This is not even a competition, because bro would be getting massacred if it was. Leo should have had consequences for his actions come far sooner than when they did. Instead, to answer Raph's question in the movie,
What's it gonna take for you to be serious?
apparently it's the end of the dang world, which was technically Leo's fault when he fumbled the key thing when Raph literally had it. It takes the literal apocalypse that was his fault for this guy to start taking any responsibility, which is just not a good look for him. And the worst part is when they do try to make me feel something for Leo. Sorry, you'll never make me feel bad for this fool.
How come nobody trusts me? None of you guys have any faith in me. Why?
Hey Leo, remember when you led your brothers into a maze of death and didn't tell them, refusing to use your powers until the last possible second in the very first season? Because I do. Leo constantly ditches the team and is often bailing on people.
You can't quit on your brother.
Why is Hueso not allowed to give up on his criminal brother? Also, Leo, you have no room to talk. You're ditching your brother for a side quest instead of apologizing to him. Also, the full clip shows that the example he gives is the time when he pulled out Donnie's baby tooth for him, only for him to admit that it was actually his adult tooth, which was the joke. The show itself makes a joke about how ludicrous it is for Leo to be saying this, so why should I trust him?
I can't believe we trusted Leo to get back here quickly.
Raph, why do you want Leo here so badly? He didn't even help you in the fight before. Leo is constantly portrayed as an untrustworthy guy, yet he's confused as to why no one trusts him?
Well, what's the matter? Is he stupid?
Okay, this could just be me, but there's also something up with Leo's voice acting. I don't know what it is, but Leo's voice actor seems to have a particularly tough time with the more sincere scenes. Like in Portal Jacked, he has a tough time sounding genuine, which makes it hard to feel anything for him, and just makes me feel skeptical that this is a trick.
I'm nothing without them.
Yeah, sure, buddy. His voice acting was also really rough in the finale when he was screaming for Karai. You really couldn't have done this take again? Really? Everyone greenlit this? Yeah, that scene was so bad, I laughed out loud the first time I saw it. Leo's voice acting was fine in the movie, though. I didn't mind Leo in season 1 because I didn't take his character super seriously. I largely ignored him. He was a jerk, so what? He's selfish, self-centered, and only focuses on himself. So, that's on him. But I never once considered him to be a Leonardo, part of the legacy of the Ninja Turtles. He just felt too different of a character. See, the Leo I know would never put his brothers in harm's way for his own glory and fame, but that's exactly what Rise Leo does in the very first season. Leo, traditionally, has always been a stickler for training, and does it even in his free time. Not because he's forced to as leader, not because he feels like he has to as the eldest, but because he enjoys it. He likes what he does and is clearly passionate. In 2003, Leo is not even officially made the leader, they just follow his orders because that version of Leo gives off such strong leader energy. Leo has qualities in him that make you want to follow him. He's self-assured, appears confident, is mature, responsible, disciplined, and knows when to take things seriously. In 2012, Leo is made leader not because he's the eldest, not because he asked, but because of innate qualities that Splinter had observed in Leo from the start. Remember the Turtle Tot episode? When the turtles were all toddlers who look like alien being things, and there's no possible way Splinter could really tell who was the oldest? Yet, who was watching over his brothers just the same? Leo has been looking after his brothers since day one, since before he even had responsibilities placed on him. It's just something he did. This is what I feel like Rise misses. If Leo is not leader and not the eldest, why would any of these traits change? They're inherent qualities not born of external circumstances such as birth order or position in the hierarchy. Amplified maybe because of these external circumstances, you could argue, sure, but not the source. Is it so hard to believe that he can be silly and responsible? That he can be mature and competent, but also a huge dork? Because that's what Leo's always been. So why would he not continue to be these things despite not being the leader or oldest? Rise Leo is so different. At this point, why even call him Leo? How can I possibly consider this Leonardo when he's this different? At this point, why not just make your own OC? Were you guys too afraid this character couldn't stand on his own without the IP of Ninja Turtles behind him? And you know what? Maybe they're right. Because I actually think I've been far more forgiving of Leo's character because he has the name Leonardo, who is traditionally my favorite character. Without that legacy, I think I would have been far more critical of him as a character. See, this is where I start to have problems. First, this is like solving a problem that was never even there to begin with. It's one thing if you don't vibe with Leo's established character because you don't relate to it or think it's boring, but to say his personality is not explored and that he doesn't have dimensionality is just a lie. Like, he has personality, he has dimension, you just don't like it. And that's fine, but it's so weird when people act like he never had these things. Second, even if this was a problem, your solution to it is making the character supposedly lacking personality into an unlikable jerk? Okay, that's about all I have to say for now. Bye. Thank you.